But we are recording, so we're good to go. Again, today we're going to do things out of order. We're going to start with math. Then we're going to jump to Home of the Brave reading. And we're going to end with science, because science today is a quiz that you can kind of do on your own and don't necessarily need me staring at you on the computer while you do it. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to start with math. Sorry, boo-boo, shush. Okay. So yesterday we reviewed how to solve orders of operation questions using, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So today we're taking the next step forward. We're wanting to try to write them as an expression, okay? So we're gonna jump to the teacher model and then I can pull up the day 10 work if I need to. Let me make this a little bit smaller so we can all see it. Okay, so this is an example of what the teacher model might look like. It says, so we're gonna read like essentially the word problem, but instead of solving it, we wanna turn it into a numerical expression. So remember, this word numerical means numbers. So I then want to write it as the expressions we were seeing yesterday, but we do not have to solve them unless it then says then solve. So this question says, a baker packages 12 cupcakes to a box. Sheen orders 5 boxes for his sister's graduation party and 3.5 boxes for the variety show party. Write an expression that shows the calculations you could use to find the number of cupcakes he's going to order. And then I've kind of showed my thought process here. So this would be essentially like, well, picking out what's happening. Okay, well, I know that they put 12 cupcakes in a box. So I wrote 12 cupcakes equals 1 box. So what would that mean? Well, he's going to order 5 boxes for his sister's graduation party. 5 boxes, each box has 12. So then I did 12 times 5 because there's 12 cupcakes in 1 box and he wants 5 of them for her graduation. And in addition to that, we're going to add, he also wants 3.5 boxes for another party. So each box still has 12 cupcakes in it, and he wants 3.5 boxes. So now I have it written as 12 times 5 plus 12 times 3.5. So this isn't always the prettiest thing. So then I kind of turned it into something different. I said I want to find 12 times the sum of 5 and 3.5. So if I come down below this, essentially what that answer is then going to look like is I'm trying to incorporate things that go together. So what does sum mean? Where it says sum of 5 and 3.5, what does sum mean? Sum means to
Add.
Okay, so I'm adding the total number of boxes he wants. So I'm going to start with parentheses because adding is not first on our please excuse my dear Aunt Sally list. But I want to add the 5 boxes he's going to order plus the 3.5 additional boxes he wants to order. So first I would do 5 plus 3.5, and then each box has the same number of cupcakes. So I would then take that answer and multiply it times 12. So this is essentially the expression for the word problem above. So today we're not necessarily focusing on solving it. We're breaking the word problem down to find the key numbers and then putting them together in an equation to show how to solve it. This should be a review, but this is a little tougher to think about. So is there any questions on this one? Yes, no, maybe so? Okay. So if I open up our work for today, it says day 11 work. So this is what you would turn in. And it's still set up the same way. It's going to say math, science, and then reading so that you know everything you need is on one page. Okay. So the next question is labeled we do, and it's right here. And then the 2 you do questions from our PowerPoint. Now I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint because this is a little bit larger so that you can see it. And then I'll copy and paste my work over later. So we're moving to like the we do's. Now you're going to help talk me through this, and I can help you too because I've kind of put my thought down here at the bottom. So this word problem says, the school auditorium has 546 seats on the main floor and 102 in the balcony. Every seat is filled for 4 of the show performances. Write an expression that shows the calculations you could use to determine how many tickets were sold. So again, they're just wanting you to write an expression. So where I started was, well, I want to know how many seats are in one auditorium show. So it says there's 546 seats on the main floor and 102 on the balcony. So the first thing I want to do is know, well, how many seats is that total? So I said in red at the bottom, I would add 546 plus 102. And that's going to tell me the total number of chairs that they did in one performance. Then it says every seat is filled for the 4 performances. So they're going to do that 4 more times. So I would take my 546 plus 102, and I would then multiply it by the 4 number of performances. So what is that going to look like as an expression? So the very first thing I need to do is what?
Add.
Add 546 plus 102.
Okay, so 546 plus 102. And then what am I going to do with that answer?
You're gonna multiply it by 4.
Multiply it by 4. So if I write my expression just like you told me, 546 plus 102 times 4, is that going to give me the correct answer?
No,
No, but why?
because
You don't have
it
that
ends
parenthesis.
up you multiply first, so you would have to multiply 102 times 4, but you're actually supposed to do 546 plus 102.
Okay, good. So what could I do to fix that problem?
Add parentheses.
Put a parenthesis.
Add parentheses around the addition problem because I want to do it first. Okay. So now I'm going to, maybe, I want to take my answer that I just came up with and I'm moving it to my day 11 work underneath where it says we do. I'm just going to copy and paste my answer there so that it's there if you need it later on. Okay. Now we're moving to the you do questions. There's 2 of them. Okay. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes to do number 1, and then we'll go over it. And I'll give you a couple minutes to do number 2, and then we'll go over it to make sure your answers are correct. So number 1 says Alicia and her brother Gio are saving to buy a skateboard that costs $95. Alicia earns $9 per week for doing chores, and Gio earns $10 per week for mowing lawns. Write an expression to represent the number of weeks it will take to save for Alicia and Gio to save for the skateboard. So you're doing exactly what we've done. I do not want you to solve it. I want an expression so that someone else could solve it. So a hint I would do is if you're solving this on your notebook paper, like I'm doing it on my whiteboard, I would start by pulling out my key numbers in bullet forms like we've been doing in class, and then using that information to create my expression so I have something to look at. And I'll give you a couple minutes. I'll give you about 1 more minute. And there can be more than one correct answer for this. It's just making sure that your work is going to lead to getting the correct answer. Okay. So, what is the first thing someone did when trying to create an expression?
Multiply.
Okay, what did you have them multiplying?
9 times 5.
So you did 9 times 5 like this?
Yeah.
Okay, and then what'd you do next?
And then I added parentheses.
Around 9 times 5 or like this?
9 times 5.
Okay. Then what?
And then I did 10 times 5.
And then you did 10 times 5. Okay.
Yeah, and then an addition sign.
An addition sign in between it?
Yeah.
Okay. Question for you. Where did the 5s come from?
I found out what 9 times 5 was, and then I found out what 10 times 5 was, and I added those, and that gave me 95 total.
Okay. So it gets you the right answer, but was the number 5 in the word problem anywhere?
No.
So if I asked you to just solve this problem, would this been the way you tried to solve it?
Mm-mm.
Right. So it does get you the correct answer. That is right. But that's not potentially the expression I would use because the 5 did not come out of the word problem. You're trying to set an expression up that matches the word problem. But it does get you the correct answer. So kudos for almost getting it. Did anybody get anything different? Okay, you want me to walk you through what I did?
Yeah.
So on my board, I did bullets. And the first thing I wrote down was that the skateboard equaled $95. Then I wrote that Alicia can make $9 per week. And per week means she makes $9 in 1 week. Okay. So then I wrote down Gio can make $10 per week, and per week, it's still 1 week. So that's just like we would have done in class. I pulled all the information out of the word problem so I could see it. So when I'm making this expression, I can only use the numbers 95, 9, and 10 because they were the only numbers given to me in the word problem. So then my brain started thinking, well, what would I do first if I wanted to solve this problem? And the first thing I would do is I would want to know how much Alicia and Gio make together in 1 week. So if I'm wanting to figure out what they work together, I'm going to add it. And since it's the first thing I want to do, I'm going to use parentheses. So I did 9 plus 10 in parentheses. That's going to equal how much they make in 1 week. Okay. Now I want to know how long it's going to take them to get to $95. If in 1 week they can make 19, and I want to know how long it takes to get to 95. Is that going to be add, subtract, multiply, or divide?
Multiply.
Okay, it's going to not be multiply. I have how much they make, and I want to see how long it's going to take them. So I'm going to be making groups of 19 for each week. So 19 for week 1, 19 for week 2, 19 for week 3. If I'm making groups, is that adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing?
Dividing.
Dividing. Okay, good. So now I have my 9 plus 10 is the first week's total. So now I'm going to start thinking about division. Division is have over shared. Okay. I can't make a division sign at the moment, so I'm just using the fraction bar. Have over shared. What is it that we have that we're working towards? $95. Okay. And I want to divide. See if I can find the division sign.
Miss Paul, you can go to the calculator and then you can copy and paste it.
Oh, that's smart. Or I can just.
I found that out yesterday.
Okay,
Wow.
so 95 divide, and now I'm going to move my parentheses over because I want to divide by what they're going to make in 1 week, and we want them to solve for it, not us. So my answer is going to be 95 divided by 9 plus 10. because essentially that then turns into 95 divided by 19, and that will tell me how many weeks it's going to take. So 95 divided by parentheses 9 plus 10 equals to being the expression that I'm wanting for number 2, or number 1 on the you do, number 2 for us. And these are tougher because they're kind of abstract to think about. So now we're moving to the second one. Okay, take a minute, try to solve the second one, and then we'll come back together. Emily baked 30 cookies. Her sister Rudy ate 5 cookies, and her brother Daniel ate 3 cookies. Write an expression to match those words. So you're trying to write an expression that would match that word problem. So again, the first thing I would do is pull out all of my key numbers so I can see what I'm working with when creating the expression. Okay, take about 1 more minute. I'm just going to start putting in the key words and key numbers. Okay, so I pulled out that Emily made 30 cookies total, Rudy ate 5, and Daniel ate 5. The key word ate. So if I'm eating cookies, is that going to be adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing from the total?
Subtracting.
Subtracting. So I know for Rudy and Daniel, I'm going to need to subtract from the total. Okay, so now let's kind of use that information and see if we can create an expression. So if they're both being subtracted, what could I do to find the total number of cookies that were eaten?
Add.
I could add them. So I'm going to do parentheses. That's the first thing I want to know is how many cookies were eaten total. So I'm going to add 5 plus 3 because that shows me how many cookies were eaten. But we said the word ate meant to subtract. So where does that subtraction sign go?
Behind it.
Okay. So if I put it behind it, what comes after the subtraction sign?
30.
Okay. Now try to solve that and tell me what's the answer going to be to make sure we're right.
I meant put it like behind the 5.
22.
Okay, well, hold on. Let's problem solve this. So if I did 5 plus 3 first, that's 8. What is 8 minus 30?
22.
If I have 8 cookies, can I give you 30?
Oh, no.
No. So I know this minus 30 is in the wrong spot because it was backwards. We couldn't do that. So I'm going to move it to the front. So I'm going to put 30 cookies is what we started with. And I want to subtract the 5 and 3 cookies that were eaten. So now it would be 30 minus 8, which would give me 22, which is the correct answer. So if you get in the habit of solving your answers after you do this, you'll be in a better habit of, is it correct or not? Any questions on the independent practice questions that we just finished together? Going once. Going twice. Here are the 3 answers. So for my couple people who came in a few minutes late, the we do question about auditorium and seats is highlighted here and in the PowerPoint. And the 2 you do answers are highlighted here in the day 11 work and in your PowerPoint. So if you need to go back and look at them, I added them to the PowerPoint so the answers will be there for you and my ink thinking notes. Okay. Any questions on the math problems? Okay. Now we are jumping over science for the time being because it's a quiz is. So we're going to roll into literacy. Okay. So we're finishing up or still working with Home of the Brave. There's 3 day 11 works here that you'll see. My computer went kind of crazy this morning and it won't let me delete them. So if you see and it's like this, just pick one because it's all the same work. I don't know why it won't let me delete it. It looks kind of crazy.
Yeah, something of mine got deleted, but I still got the work of it.
Okay. Okay. So we are moving to Home of the Brave. This PowerPoint has more than 1 day on it. So we're back to the way it used to be. There's day 11, day 12. They're all kind of linked here together for the time being, so that I can drop all of it into Canvas tomorrow so that I can start uploading work week by week. So today we're going to be focusing on trying to identify a symbol and explaining what it means within our Home of the Brave book. We've learned about symbols before when we were learning about immigration. We learned about the Statue of Liberty being a symbol. Does anyone remember what symbol the Statue of Liberty stood for?
No.
Freedom. I heard it. The Statue of Liberty stood for freedom. And when we learned how to explain that, we learned because as people moved here, the Statue of Liberty was 1, the first thing that they seen. And 2, that's where they started getting off the boats and signing all the paperwork so that they could live here. So it kind of stood as freedom as you've made it to a free country. So we're going to kind of focus on that idea through Home of the Brave today. Okay. So the first thing I kind of want to give an example of is an example of a symbol we've already learned about so that you can kind of see how to connect it when we're dealing with poetry. So a symbol that we've already seen throughout this book is snow. So when I think about the qualities of snow, I know snow happens in the winter, okay? I know snow covers up the ground so that the grass and the flowers and the plants kind of die because they're not getting any sunlight. And I know that the snow can be cold. So those are the qualities of snow. So how can I connect that to Home of the Brave and what's happening with Keck? Okay, he's lost his brother and his father, which can be kind of cold and makes you feel alone if you're mourning your family. Then I know his mother is missing, which is traumatic and terrible. So when he's a cold, we're thinking of cold as he feels alone. Okay? Cold equals alone, and we see that a lot through the symbol of snow within these chapters. So that's kind of an example of one symbol we've seen today. So we're going to read a little bit, and then we're going to discuss the other symbols that are in Home of the Brave. Okay? So in conclusion, we know snow means that he feels cold or alone, so it could be standing for loss or death of things. Okay? So we are moving back into our book. We stopped on page 163 yesterday. He was in the library and he didn't really feel like reading because he was in one of those why me type of stages. Why am I safe? Why do I have food? And my mom's missing and my brother and dad have died and people in my home country are starving. So he's kind of fumbling around with the why is good things happening to me type of motto. And that's where we left off. So we're going to pick up on page 164 and it's the chapter going up. So if you have your book and you want to follow along, I can give you a minute. If you don't have your book, you can just listen. I'm going to read from 164 all the way to page 177. Okay, that's going to be the chapter Growing Up and the chapter Hearts and my pages stuck together and the chapter White Girl and the chapter Scars. So we're reading 4 chapters, but we're doing it in one large chunk. Then we're going to come back together and see if we can figure out any images that keep reoccurring and coming back up in those 4 chapters to create a new symbol. Okay? Again, if you want to read them by yourself, feel free, or you can follow along. I'm going to read all the way from 164 to 177. Then I'll come back together and help us kind of answer the question on what is a new symbol and what would that mean. Okay? So I'm on page 164, going up. Time passes, the kind they call weeks. I have a little money for my job. I have to make myself believe that a crumpled piece of green paper means something, means anything. In my old world, it was easy. You could know a person's wealth by counting his cattle. Hannah and I take the bus to a giant store filled with many things to buy. I've promised her I will not get upset this time. I want to buy my aunt some new dishes. There are stores within stores here, in music and food. It's bright and big with toys and chairs and TV machines and t-shirts. What do you call such a place, I ask. The mall, Hannah replies. I follow her to a huge, shiny store. I've herded cattle for hundreds of miles with only the stars to guide me, but I'm certain I could never find my way out of this place. Hannah takes me to 2 magic silver staircases, one going up, one coming down. I watch the stairs melt away, then reappear. It's just an escalator, she says. No big deal. Come on. I shake my head. They had these at the airport, but Dave let me take the stairs instead. Is there another way to climb? She laughs. Well, there's an elevator. That would be a better way, I think. Okay, but you gotta promise me you'll try it next time. It's fun, Hannah says. So are elevators. The elevator is hiding near a row of poofy white coats, like clouds with arms. Hannah pushes a button and we wait. A bell rings and then the doors vanish. I follow her into the little room waiting for us. She pauses, another button. Then zoom, we fly up. I think I left my stomach downstairs, I say. Hannah smiles. Told you it was fun. Hearts. Hannah leads me to the shelves full of colorful dishes. I like some with many stripes, but she says I can't afford them. She picks out a small box of white ones. This should pretty much replace what you broke, Hannah says. I cradle the box gently in my arms, the way I would carry a newborn calf. On the way to the paying place, we pass many red sparkling cards and much candy. Some of it is even chocolate. Valentine's Day is in a couple of days, Hannah explains. You give stuff to people you like. Plus, it happens to be my birthday. Hey, when's your birthday? I don't know, I admit. We didn't have birthdays in the way that you do. But you know I was born in the time you call summer. Hannah looks confused by this news. It's hard for me to remember that she sometimes finds my ways as strange as I find hers. I must find you a gift, I say. After I pay you back the money I owe you for the bus and the washing, how much do I have left? No way, Hannah says. You're not spending your hard-earned money on yours truly. But it would make me very proud, I argue, and it's my duty as your friend. Hannah grins out one side of her mouth, a silly, tilted smile, like a new moon rising. Okay. See that little box of heart candy? You could afford that. It must be chocolate, I say firmly. She scans the shelves. Here, she says at last. She hands me a shiny little heart. Perfect. We stand in a long line. When I give the lady my money for the dishes and the heart, my own heart grows so big with pride. I feel it might top over like a ripe seed pod. I earned this money, I tell her. I take care of a cow. It's a fine job. The lady smiles politely. If you say so, hun. Again, I'm learning that American people don't understand the wonder of a cow. Maybe if they had more cows on the TV machine, people would begin to feel as Gunwar and I do. You can have your dogs and cats and your gerbils and hamsters and sleek sparkling fish, but you will have lived just a half life if you never loved a cow. White girl. In front of our apartment, I give the shiny heart to Hannah. Happy birthday and happy Valentine's Day, I say to my good friend Hannah. 3 boys walk past just as Hannah slips the silver heart into her pocket of her coat. They glare at us with eyes that shoot poison. Leave the white girl alone, one yells. Hands off, boy. Just ignore them, Hannah whispers. She pulls me inside and slams the door shut. One moment later, she opens it a crack and peers out. They're gone, she says. I shake my head. I don't understand, I say. Me either, Hannah says. Me either. You shouldn't have pulled me inside, I mutter. They're jerks. Hannah yanks off her mittens. I didn't want you to get hurt. I am a man, I say, standing tall. Sure you are, Hannah says. Just, didn't you see the point in the fight? What does it matter? I can't explain. Suddenly I feel tired of using words that don't belong to me. Never mind, I say. I trudged up the stairs. My aunt is surprised to see the box from me. A present? She keeps saying, a present for me? She opens the dishes and hugs me hard. You're such a fine boy, Keck, she says. I feel happy about the dishes and bad about the angry boys. It's hard to feel two things at once, so I try not to feel anything. I sit next to Gunwar on the sofa. Together we watch the TV machine tell its happy, easy stories. Scars. Every weekend and other days, sometimes, Gunwar and I go to Lou's. It feels good to go somewhere simple, to work and sing and eat cookies with chocolate. Gunwar doesn't say so, but I think he's calmer on these days. Sometimes he even whistles a radio song or tells me jokes in English that I don't understand. Always, though, I laugh to make him happy. One afternoon, Gunwar and I rebuild a gate that's rotted away at the edge of the field. It's long work, and we sweat under our thick coats. The sun is still rarey and weak, like a traveler too long on the road, but each day it's trying harder to warm the world. Gunwar wipes away sweat with his arm. The 6 lines etched in his forehead glisten. I will never have the gar, I say suddenly. My word surprised me. It's an idea I've never let myself think about until now. The invitation ceremony is part of another place, a place I may never return to. You're lucky, Gunwar says. Why would you want such scars? Here they mean nothing. They meant everything, I say. I lean on the fence. How will I know when I'm a man? Gunwar keeps hammering. When you own a fine car and a house with many bathrooms, then you're a man in this country, he answers with a smile. It isn't so funny, I say. You've been tested and I haven't. You were brave. I look away. I don't want him to see my eyes and what lies hidden there. Me? I haven't been. Sure you have, Gunwar replies. You were in the camp alone. You came here alone. That's pretty brave. It doesn't take a knife in the hand of a village elder to prove yourself. I picked up my hammer and slammed it against the rusty nail sticking out of the wood. It's easy for you to say. After that, I won't talk anymore. But the hammer many nails as hard as I can. Even with my gloves on, I have good hurting blisters to show for it. And that's page 177. So what is an image that keeps reoccurring in this part of the text? So what's something that we keep seeing or he keeps talking about?
Being a man.
Okay, being a man. So what could that symbolize? And I'm going to switch to my day 11 work because it's right here. After reading these, what image has occurred in the part of this text? So you said he keeps talking about wanting to be a man. What does that represent? What does he consider being a man to me? That they're what? So why does he keep saying Gunwar's lucky for having those 6 scars on his forehead from an elder? What did he prove when they put those scars on his face? That he was what?
Brave.
That he was brave. So he thinks that being a man considers himself to be brave and that he could get through anything. Does he feel very brave right now?
No.
No, because he thinks the only way to be brave is to show bravery through those scars. You remember Gunwar got those scars from an elder or an older gentleman, took a knife and cut scars all the way down his forehead. And you earned your right to be a man if you stood there and you didn't cry and you took it and you were very brave through the pain. So he's like, how am I ever going to be a man if I don't feel pain like that? So he's struggling with what it means to be a man. And he thinks that the only thing that means is to be brave. So that's a good symbol. What's another symbol? It keeps being brought up.
Plants.
Nope, not plants.
The cow.
The cow. There it is. I heard it. The cow. Cattle or a cow. What does that symbolize for Keck?
Life. Life.
Okay, remember he's not from just Africa, he's from Sudan. But yes, it symbolizes his old life. So it represents his home life or his homeland. It makes him think back to things that were simpler when only cattle mattered, only family mattered. So it brings back his homeland and it brings back memories of his family. So both of these are very important symbols that are still following him throughout the book. Okay, so that's the first part. Here's the second part. You don't have to read anything else. I've just switched to my PowerPoint, so it's a little bit bigger so that you can see it. So the last question for reading, and yours can be different from mine. Okay. There's this box, and it says not dead trees. Okay, remember at the very beginning, he's seen the trees with no leaves on them? And Dave's like, they're not dead, so he called them not dead trees. The cow, a TV machine, laundry, cloth from his mother's dress, the school bus, or the airplane. Okay, so you're wanting to pick one of these words, but you need to be careful because not all of these words are symbols. Okay, so remember, a symbol is something that keeps repeating itself throughout the text and can be meaningful to the story. So not all of those words are symbols. You're wanting to pick one out that you believe is a symbol. And then I want you to tell me, what word did you pick? And what idea or theme does that support? And that's the last question down here at the bottom. On day 11 work, I dropped that same word box. And then you're picking one symbol from above. I reminded you they're not all symbols. So you need to pick something that repeats through the text and is meaningful. And then you're going to tell me what idea or theme does it represent. So an example could be the cow, because we just did that one together. So if I picked cow, that's what I typed in. And then what theme or idea does it represent? It represents memories of his homeland that one day he'll feel at home somewhere else. Okay. And if you don't want to use the cow, you could choose another one from that box. Just make sure it's something you can explain on why it is a symbol. And I'll give you a couple minutes, and then we will move to science. Hey, Renaya, we're kind of in the middle. We're finishing up reading. So if you'll give me 1 second, we're going to switch to science, and you can kind of pick up with us there. Does anybody need an extra minute with this symbols question? Going once?
Me.
Okay.
Yes.
One day he might feel.
Take about 1 more minute, and then I'm going to move to showing you your reading or science assignment. Okay, so the last thing we're doing today is science, because I did things a little out of order. So remember, I'm still on your day 11 worksheet. So if you're on this document, you'll see it says science. I'm going to follow the following link, and it's a quiz page. And the only thing you have to do for science is tell me what your score was. So after you play it, what was your score? So I can kind of walk you through it. When you click the link, this is what it's going to pull up. And we did these before. So if I enter in my name as an example, I'm going to hit start game. And this is the way we're testing your knowledge without having to give you a quiz. Okay, so, is that me? Okay, so this is us taking your quiz questions, and we've added them into this quiz so that they're quiz questions instead. So this does not count as a quiz grade, but it's just us testing your knowledge on human body. So if you're wanting to log in now, wonderful. If not, you can do it later, but I'm going to hit start and kind of roll through it with you in case.
I don't know how to start it.
You type in your name and then hit start game. So which two systems work together to transport nutrients to the body for energy? And I don't know that our answers are all the same. So I'm just going to play with you, see if you can beat me.
Oh, I know that one.
Homostasis. I'm going to get it wrong. It's Hakuna Matata. Do humans compare with amoebas?
No. You mean to get
Emulsives?
What do all living things have in common? Yes.
I think.
How does the muscular system work with the skeletal system?
I got it wrong.
An organism makes its own energy from the sun. It can grow and reproduce all on its own. What type of organism is it? The picture to the right shows which system. Which of the following is not a multicellular organism? Is not. Which of the following describes how the nervous system works with other systems? In a multicellular organism, cells that are the same make up a system. Which of the following describes the system?
Still in each place.
fear no man, but within is something. Which of the following is not in this one?
Whoop, whoop. I'm in first place at the moment.
Oh, did you get all of them right?
So when it's talking about the score, now that I'm finished, at the bottom it says accuracy 100%. So on my thing, I would write 100% as my score.
I'm back.
Okay, so as you start to finish up, you can just add your score. Normally quizzes will let you play it more than once, so that's completely up to you. So we did math, then we did reading, now we finished up science. So I'm going to stop recording this Zoom so that I can turn it into a YouTube video for our friends who came in late or missed it. You'll be able to re-watch our Zoom lesson to make sure your answers are correct. But before I turn it off and stop recording it, does anybody have any questions for me? Going once. If you have a question, you'll have to unmute yourself. Going twice. Okay, if you need me, you can call or text me.